Discovery, go at throttle up. Discovery, go at throttle up.
Oh, this is space. I'm in space.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Okay, it's Monday. I'm running a little bit behind schedule. Thank you for all the resubs. How's everybody doing on this Monday? It is the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Happy Veterans Day, everybody. This is the SpaceX Falcon 9 KOREASAT-6A coverage from me, your host, Eric Johnson, or EJ for short. It's the Eric Johnson Space Administration coverage here. Thank you for all the resubs, everybody. How's everybody doing? You can see I have a co-pilot today who is just completely taken over my chair.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Privet Shinaru, what's up, man? Yeah, we got a co-pilot that's completely taken over today. Yeah, I brought out the other chair because he wanted Marcus. The Marcus is his chair now. Oh, you dropped your ball. Okay, so I have a co-pilot today, just for a little bit before Bree gets back. Bree's just out doing errands, and I decided to take my co-pilot up here with me.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
I could have left him in the house, but I wanted to take him with me. Should have left him in the house because he's being a little distracting. But I will not bore you any further. Let's get over to the KOREASAT mission, which is
the first
set to jet
stage
in about
will
3 minutes.
finish up at around T-minus 3 minutes, and the second stage at T-minus 2 minutes.
Discovery,
The
go
white
at
clouds
throttle
you
up.
see around the vehicle are formed as the chilled gas above the LOX tank liquid surface vents overboard to maintain pressure in the tank as needed. And when that gas comes out into the warmer air, it condenses with the water in the air and then forms those clouds you see on your screen. We should be hearing the call out for LOX load completion on stage 1.
Any idea what those rings are on the left? No.
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
And there's that call out, and so we are waiting on a similar call out for LOX load completion on stage 2 in about 30.
Hey fellas, just keep the volume down for me if you could. He'll if he barks, you're gonna hear it. So I don't want to blow out anybody's ears with headphones. So
We'll have
just
taken over
keep
the launch
the
countdown.
volume at halfway if you
And
can.
then just T-minus 2 seconds.
This is 39A.
we light the 9 Merlin engines for liftoff.
This is booster 1067. It's its 23rd
Currently, the
flight.
payload continues to be healthy, and the Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues with the rocket.
This is an RTLS. Yeah, exactly, Phil. It's an RTLS with a 3,500 kilogram payload. So this is a geostationary transfer orbit where the booster is going to come all the way back to the landing site, which is actually super cool. These are missions that just 10 years ago thought you know, everyone thought you couldn't do this unless you had a Falcon Heavy, right? But now, you know, this day and age, we got Falcon 9s just busting it out, which is super cool. Those fairings have been reused, you know, the scorch marks. Space Pope, thanks for the bits. Appreciate it.
Gas launch closeout.
You can see that white cloud from venting the TE LOX line, which is totally normal.
Yeah, they're evacuating all of the fuel and oxidizer lines out in the launch infrastructure to make sure that the pad doesn't get set on fire during ignition. What was the single biggest challenge allowing base Falcon 9 to unlock this performance? Extending the vehicle from Falcon 9 1.0 to 1.1 was probably a good
Great
idea.
call out there, which means that Falcon 9 is now running off of its
that's right,
internal
Tessa.
flight computers.
All right,
and
we're in
waiting
startup.
for the go no go from the launch director.
LB, go for launch.
And there we have it. At T-minus 40 seconds, all systems
We'll
are
answer
go
that in
for
a
the
second,
launch
bear
of
note.
Falcon 9.
30 seconds.
T-minus 30 seconds.
I just said that. Titan said that too. Hey, buddy. Cool. Cool. It's okay. York. This is in Florida.
T-minus 15.
This is 39A, guys. Big fixed service structure on the side.
T-minus 10, 9,
Okay, here we go.
8, 7, 6,
Sound suppression.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ignition
Ignition.
and liftoff.
Discovery,
And
go
Oh,
at
awesome
throttle.
camera.
Go KOREASAT. Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Okay. Good lift. Everything looked good there.
MOD propulsion is nominal.
Vehicle's got a good
Falcon
roll
9 has
program.
successfully lifted off from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center, carrying the KOREASAT-6A satellite.
This is an RTLS.
During
23rd
ascent,
flight
we
for
tilt or
167.
gimbal the engines, and
Or
that turns the
1067.
rocket horizontally,
Power and telemetry nominal.
a
Good call on
maneuver
power
known
and
as a
telemetry.
gravity turn. We're still going up, but now we're also heading horizontally away from the launch pad. Moments ago, we throttled the engines down in preparation for max Q, or maximum aerodynamic
Falcon
pressure.
9 is supersonic.
Great callouts on the nets. And max Q is a critical moment during flight because the combined stresses caused by Falcon
The throttling
9
the throttling
that are caused
regime
by
on
Falcon
the
9
engines will
accelerating through
change
the
with payload
atmosphere
mass
and
flight,
the
yes.
ambient static pressure are at their greatest.
Max Q.
Great call out for max Q right there. The rocket typically needs to go 17,500 miles per hour horizontally in order to avoid
back,
being pulled
Fletcher.
back down to Earth and get
Hey.
into orbit.
Don't go over there.
Now we have 6 events coming up in quick succession. Main engine cutoff, or MECO, stage separation, stage 1 flip, second engine
Happy Veterans
start
Day,
1,
Joker.
or SES1, boost back start, boost back burn start, and fairing separation. During MECO, we'll shut down the 9 Merlin engines, which is followed by stage separation. Once separated from the second stage, the booster will flip its
Vehicle is following a
orientation.
nominal trajectory.
The booster will flip its orientation and begin heading back to Earth with a short boost back burn, while simultaneously the second stage MVAC engine will ignite for the first time, followed quickly by fairing separation. We should
Wait
see
till
all of
Starship
those
in Mana.
events happening back to back in the next few seconds.
Stage separation confirmed.
All right, good staging. Upper stage ignition. First stage is turning around for
Stage
Boost
1
back.
boost back startup.
engine
back
ignition. Yep, there we go. There she goes. Yeah, just knock over all my stuff, Titan. It's fine.
Oh, this is space. I'm in space.
Okay, gifted a sub to Midge. Shh.
Some awesome views on the screen of
He wanted to see
those
the boost
events
back.
that
You
happened
want to
back
see
to
the
back.
boost back?
MECO, stage sep, S1 flip, and
Discovery,
SES1.
go at throttle up.
Stand by. Fairing separation.
Fairing separation confirmed.
The fairings have the insulators in them. Good.
An awesome view of fairing separation as well. We'll be attempting to retrieve these fairing halves again today once
You
they
see the
fall back
coast
to
of Florida
Earth
right
using
there?
our recovery vessel, Doug.
This looks like a 27-degree inclined insertion. They're launching straight due east out of the Cape. which is at 27 degrees north latitude, which would net you a
So it's about
27
T
degree
plus 3 minutes
inclined
and
orbit.
40
Good for
seconds
geostationary
into today's
transfer.
mission. And at T plus 6 minutes and 32 seconds, we expect to have some great views of the first stage entry burn. For the entry burn, we relight 3 of the M1D engines on the first
Both
stage,
vehicles continue to follow nominal trajectories.
starting with the center E9 engine, followed shortly after by the E1 and E5 engines, which slows down the vehicle as it passes back into Earth's atmosphere. We need to slow down to reduce re-entry forces, which ultimately helps us recover and reuse the first stage.
See the rocket, buddy? Your brethren launched on a rocket once.
During the entry burn, Falcon 9 is decelerating by firing its Merlin engines, but we're still moving really, really fast. And this causes the vehicle to fly through Merlin's exhaust gases, which is also known as the rocket's plume. And this deposits a layer of soot on the vehicle surface, which is why our flight-proven vehicles look so toasty. And that soot comes from the carbon-based fuel that Falcon 9 uses, the RP-1. Reusability is key to lowering the cost of spaceflight, which enables more investment in critical scientific research. And as a reminder, the Falcon 9 first stage that is supporting today's mission will be performing this entry burn for its 23rd time.
Yeah, Quesito, for sure. Whoever's doing the SpaceX commentary today is very good explanations. Very good. Toasty! Yep. Certainly better than mine. Titan wanted to do the commentary today, so I had him come up with me. He's not doing a good job. Believe me.
It is a super clear today, and we have some really great views. You can see that both the Stage 1 and Stage 2 vehicles continue to pick up speed.
What are you doing? I'm sorry, this guy makes me laugh.
The Merlins on the first stage are
Both vehicles
optimized.
continue to follow nominal trajectories.
Yeah,
Great
everything's looking
callouts
good.
there. The Merlins on the first stage are optimized for sea level,
got a flappy
and these
here.
achieve around 190,000 pounds of thrust during ascent and entry. The MVAC engine is optimized to operate in space and produces 220,500 pounds of thrust in vacuum. So after entry burn and landing burn, we will shut down our MVAC engine on the
Coming up on my
second
favorite
stage.
part, supersonic retro propulsion.
And then the landing burn will actually happen after that. And as a reminder, we are targeting a landing at landing zone 1 at Cape
Stage
Canaveral.
1 entry burn started.
Here we go, supersonic retro propulsion.
And there is the beginning of entry burn.
So right now, Falcon 9 is firing its engines to decelerate, but it's also using it as a heat shield. You notice how the plume is propagating?
Stage
It's
1
propagating in
entry
kind
burn
of a heat shield shape. That's what it's doing. It's using the gases from the rocket.
Awesome view
Oh,
of
he just bit my
Stage
hand.
1's entry burn.
It's using the gases from the rocket engine
as it
to actually
heads
push
back
the plasma
towards
away.
Landing zone
my
1
favorite
at
part.
Cape
Super
Canaveral
cool.
Space
Both
Force
vehicles
Station.
continue to follow nominal trajectories.
You just got the webbing on my thumb. Ow. This part right here, the meaty part.
In about 30 seconds,
That
we
hurt.
will begin the landing burn on Stage 1, where the center engine E9
Stage 1
will
FTS
land.
has saved.
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
Here we go.
Stage 1 transonic.
All great Stage 1 callouts right there.
Okay. Gridfin's doing the work here up until the landing burn.
Stage 2 FTS has saved.
Got a little bit of low-lying clouds there in Florida. Oh my goodness, look at that. 1067 coming
Awesome
back
view
home.
of
Look at
landing
it turn.
burn. We
Oh,
are
that's
now waiting
awesome.
for Falcon 9 to land back on land at landing zone
Dude,
1.
zoom out. zoom
Stage
out.
1 landing leg deployed.
Please, zoom out. Yes. Whoa, that was a little bit of a rowdy landing.
And there you have it.
Very
That
nice.
landmarks SpaceX's
Very nice.
364th recovery of an orbital
Woohoo!
rocket.
Came in a
including
little
first
spicy
stage
there.
landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy.
That is the 23rd flight for that booster,
Nominal
1067.
parking orbit.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
We got a good parking orbit.
We also had SECO 1. And with that, let's return to our mission in progress. The second stage is now embarking on its coast phase, during which we're going to take a short break. And after the coast phase, we will
There's a
light that
picture of the payload.
MVAC engine.
Hang on. Sometimes it doesn't play nice with synergy.
So we'll see you back here in about 20 minutes.
I'll see you in about 20 minutes. All right. That was a little bit of a rowdy turn there. It may have just been the camera angle, but that thing came in, that 1067 came in a little hot there. 23 flights. That's the leader, if I'm remembering correctly, guys. That's, if not, it's up there. It's very close to being the one with the highest amount of flights. Yep, see, we got a 27 degree, this is a 27 degree orbital inclination right there. See, because the Cape is 27 degrees north latitude, if you launch with a flight azimuth of 90 due east out of the Cape at 27 degrees north, that'll put you into a 27 degree inclined orbit. Now, what does that mean? That means if you drew if you drew a line on the equator and you drew a line of the orbit around the Earth that the payload is in right now, at the point when it crosses the equator, it'll make a 27 degree angle. So this is a 27 degree inclined orbit. This is basically how they launch stuff, how SpaceX and how pretty much anybody that launches stuff to geostationary out of the Cape, this is what they all do. The reason why you do this is because 27 degrees inclined is the lowest inclination that you need, the lowest inclination that we can get to from the Cape to get you a good geostationary transfer. What's going to happen here is this stage is going to fly about halfway around the Earth, and then they're going to do another burn. And in that other burn, you're going to accelerate this thing up to the velocity that you need for geostationary transfer, which is probably, I think, over 30,000 kilometers and change. I know what it is in meters a second, guys. Kilometers. What the heck is a kilometer? So they're going to wait to get to the other side of the Earth, because that's where the apogee, that's where the highest point of this parking orbit is. And then they're going to do the geostationary transfer from there, and then let the satellite go.
I heard there was a stray dog out here.
You heard there was a stray dog out here?
Yeah. Well, you have a chair now.
Yeah.
So maybe you're happy here.
Take that. Oh!
Did you not bring him out here on a leash?
He's on the orange leash.
Oh, okay.
And Bree got me nuggies.
I bought no leash.
You got hot and ready nuggies. I got nuggies!
Hey, buddy.
It's our reward for taking care of the dog.
Yes.
How you doing, babe?
I'm fine. I'm tired.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know what I learned today? If you don't have enough iodine in your diet, you can get hypothyroidism.
Yes.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Gotta have more iodine.
I got iodine salt because of that.
You got bath salts? What?
That's not what I said at all.
Oh. Those?
So I was like, why does the salt tell me it doesn't have iodine? And then I googled it, and I was like, oh, maybe we should get iodized salt.
Yes.
Why did nobody inform me?
Adulting.
True. Hypo. Tessa. Co-pilot and rocket inspector. I like that.
Yep.
Iodine salt tastes like trash water? Alright, well, we have normal salt too.
This is my life.
Where'd it go?
All right, baby.
Alright,
Thank you.
no problem.
He is very hyper today.
Yeah, I think
Like-
somebody needs a nap.
Yep.
Frankie.
Okay. I gotta reconfigure the captain's chairs. All right. I'll be right back 1 second. I'm going to put the other chair away. Hey, God, thank you for the 100. I was supposed to be off work today, but I got called in for random drug testing. Then I learned I was extra lucky and got a breathalyzer test too. So I spent the entire morning out of the house. Garrett, what? And what? Why would they? All right, okay. It's a little messed up. Wait, what if you were at home having a beer and they called you into work? I'm confused. Are you not allowed to do that? Like on a holiday? Especially on Veterans Day? Yeah, that's a little messed up. All right, we're in a coast right now. Give me 1 second. I need to munch on the... I need to have at least one nuggie. I need one nuggie, okay? I'll be right back.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Okay. It's been a chaotic morning. Let me just get situated here. Okay. I'm good. You want to see me eat the nuggies? No. I don't like eating on stream. It's weird. But also... Dance for me, monkey. Dance. You are a monkey, Derek. In your monkey shoes. Dance, Derek. Dance. What kind of nuggies? The chicken kind. Thanks for all the laugh as always. I try. Funny man over here. You asked. How about them lions? How about them lions, dude? How about them lions? Hey, Base. AJ, first time I've ever been here. Gotta get back to work, but I just wanted to thank you for putting up your VODs. I started playing Satisfactory and your VODs have helped a lot. Yeah, no problem, dude. Right on, man. Thanks for chiming in, dude. Thanks for letting me know. Like,
Oh, this is Space.
and you got
I'm in
gifted a
space.
sub. Thanks, Hokey. Yeah, Base, you know, like, I appreciate those kind words, man. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm just screaming into the void. Like, you know, you don't know, like, you get comments on YouTube videos and stuff, but, you know, the fact that you came in here and said that, like, means a lot to me. Like, I really appreciate the feedback, good and bad. I'm not gonna lie to you, sometimes the bad hurts my feelings a little bit, but it's the internet. Grow thick skin. You know, like, you can't put yourself out there and not expect that. But I do, with that being said, like, the vast majority of comments are overwhelmingly positive. So, Base, I do appreciate it. I'm glad I could help you out. Well, the VODs and how you laid it out made it very easy to follow and keep myself organized and watch it. Yeah, right on, man. You gotta keep it clean, dude. You gotta keep your factory designs crisp. If you don't keep them crisp and you don't keep everything organized, you're gonna confuse. You're gonna get confused.
This is Space. I'm in space.
Like, take it from somebody that gets confused really easily. You know? Hokey gifted a sub to Dean. All right. Is 27,000 kilometers an hour the velocity needed for geostationary transfer? No, Flavia, that is a parking orbit. We are in parking orbit right now. Here, let me move to the other side so you can see. This is a parking orbit. This is an eccentric parking orbit. Believe it or not, I can tell a lot from those numbers about what this orbit looks like. It's an eccentric parking orbit, slightly eccentric. So the speed is going to change, but altitude shouldn't change very much. They're close to 168 circular. But 26,927 is awfully slow for a circular 168 kilometer orbit. That's awfully slow. This is a decaying orbit. That's what parking orbits are. When a rocket goes up into space, if low Earth orbit is not its final destination, heck, even if it's going to the ISS, you'll put yourself into what's called a parking orbit. So what's a parking orbit? A parking orbit is a type of orbit that basically is not sustainable for long periods of time. So if something goes very, very wrong, you're not stranding something in space. Say, God forbid, right? Like say something happens to the second stage right now. That would suck. That would be really bad. We don't want that. But if something did, this is a decaying orbit. That's not very stable. 26,927 at 168 is not, that will come down in like a week if it just stayed here. Less than that. This is not very, the velocity is what your dead giveaway is. Now keep in mind, these numbers are, I said that these numbers are going to change. They haven't changed right now because they don't have an acquisition of signal through their Gabon tracking station. Those numbers should change in a second. They'll tick over. And that just means there's a signal handover. There's a reacquisition of signal. Out over the Atlantic here is dead space for Falcon 9. There's no connection out there. Falcon 9 still does use ground stations, guys. And I know what people are going to say. Why doesn't it use Starlink? Well, changing the antennas on your rocket is just as crazy in terms of certification as changing your propulsion. Falcon 9 goes with what works, which is why, you see ground station handovers with Falcon 9. They're in a handover right now. There is no way that these numbers are flat like this. If it's flat, these numbers don't make sense for zero eccentricity. They don't make sense. If you were circularized, perfectly circular at 168, so 0 degrees eccentricity, or 0 eccentricity at 168, that number would be 27.3, 27.4, not 26.9. Watch, the numbers will roll over when you have a reacquisition of signal here in a moment. But I can tell you that these numbers are eccentric. They're in a slightly egg-shaped orbit or slightly elliptical orbit. 26.9 is actually short. This is a parking orbit. It's an eccentric parking orbit. And once again, they do that in case something goes wrong. You don't strand a second stage and a payload in low Earth orbit. We already got enough stuff up there. You don't need to make it worse than it already is. That's just, that right there is an example of what's called good GNC, good guidance, navigation, and control. This is good GNC and good trajectory optimization to minimize the environmental impact in space. Yes, there is an environmental impact in space. Space has weather, and if you leave crap stranded up there, just like if you left trash out in the middle of the park, it's bad for it. You don't want to do that. So, yeah, these numbers should roll over here in a moment. So, Baranok, you also asked about Starship. How are they going to deal with Starship's engines, with Super Heavy's engines not getting warped from supersonic, from re-entry with no supersonic retro propulsion? First of all, Baranok, you still here? Because I'm ready to answer your question. Thank you for the answer. No problem, Flavia. We don't want any more of those Acme exploding satellites in orbit. Okay, cool. So, Baranok, you're talking about Super Heavy, how all the engines were warped because the heat that Super Heavy took. How are they going to fix that? Raptor 3 is how they're going to fix that. The Raptor 3 engines from what finally made the channel. Yo, Heifer Beast, what's up, man? The Raptor 3 engines are designed to not have any shielding on them. They're designed to mitigate thermal protection on the inside of the engine and outside of the engine. One of the first engines of its kind, actually, I think the second engine of its kind to be able to deal with something like that. The shuttle engine is the first. Shuttle engines can operate in close proximity.
This is space. I'm in space.
Damn, dude. Coltech, 67 months. Buenos dias! What's up, man? And Hokey gifted a sub to Heifer Beast. Hokey's on a gifting spree today. Can they just run coolant through the outer engines like the center ones? Well, Hampus, if you're gonna, yeah, sure, of course you could. If you're gonna do that, you're going to be making a lot of ullage gas. That makes a lot of gaseous methane and it makes a lot of gaseous oxygen. And what you're going to have to do is vent the tanks when you're coming through re-entry. Oh my god.
This is space. I'm in space.
Shaw with a 112-month resub. Here is a button. Pokey gifted out 10. Jeez, thank you. Hell Hydra with the 40-month resub. Oh no, I bumped the button. You could theoretically just run coolant, but you're going to increase your ullage pressure. So you have to have basically a blow. You have to have your blow-off valves going during entry. Not a bad thing. I mean, we saw the valves opening during landing. So I'm pretty sure that Super Heavy could do that. It could also do a regular supersonic retropropulsive burn if it wants. See, the numbers ticked over. See, they updated. See what I'm talking about? Slightly eccentric. Look at the altitude now. It was at 168. Now it's at 255. You're a blow-off valve. You're a wastegate. Got him. So, yeah, see the numbers roll over from the handover? What do you call it, eccentric, pal? Look, so check this out. This number's going down, that number's going up, which means you're coasting to the highest point in your orbit right now. And like I said, the highest point on the orbit is over here somewhere. It's about, actually, I said it was about halfway. It's more like a third of the way around Earth. SpaceX probably optimized this trajectory to burn when they had signal on the ground station. D-minus 7 days. Excitement is building up. I still can't believe it. Seems like IFT5 was yesterday. It's only going to get crazier from here, Flavia. So, Baronock, how are they going to mitigate it? They could, as somebody suggested in YouTube chat, they could run propellants through it. Hampus suggested that over there. You could run propellants through it, but the best way, I think, would be to just have Raptor passively tank the heat. Basically build in that thermal protection capability into the Raptors, which I'm pretty sure that's what SpaceX is doing. An interim solution could be to do supersonic retropropulsion. I mean, it's very clear that after Flight 5, they had leftover fuel in those tanks. They had a good amount of it left over. But yeah, there are solvable ways. There's a bunch of ways to get around it. An important thing to understand is that because of Starship's stainless steel construction, your ability for the booster to sink heat, like absorb, basically tank heat. So I'm saying like tank in MOBA terms. Like your ability, the Starship's ability to just absorb heat, it can tank it. Is very, very underappreciated. Not from SpaceX, but we just generally don't think that vehicles can do that. You generally think that, like Starship, for instance, if, when Starship was coming through on Flight 4, right, you're like, oh, they have burn through, they're gonna lose the ship completely. Nope. Nope. It landed with a hole in the wing, but it landed.
With incredible views throughout, actually. Falcon 9 lifted
Probably
off
not,
at
Contra.
12:22 p.m. Eastern from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center. We had a successful ascent, fairing separation, and second stage orbital insertion. And the fairing halves are being recovered by our recovery ship, Doug. And it was the fourth flight for each fairing half. We also recovered the first stage at Landing Zone 1, which marked its 23rd landing. We're now moments away from a second ignition of the MVAC engine on the second stage, which will carry the KOREASAT-6A payload into the orbit needed to deploy the satellite. This burn will be followed by the shutdown of the MVAC, also known as the Second Engine Cutoff 2, or SECO-2. Now let's wait for those callouts, which should be happening in the next few seconds.
Okay, see how their altitude's still decreasing, but it's decreasing slow, and the speed is decreasing, but altitude isn't? They're pretty much at apogee, at the highest point of your orbit. You're going to get an ignition here. Here we go. Good ignition. Sun getting a pretty dang good lens flare as Falcon 9 goes over the horizon.
Which has now lit up for its second burn.
Yeah, see, that number is going to push past 30,000 kilometers an hour. I don't remember what the
In
exact...
total, this burn should last about a minute.
I don't remember what the exact orbital
until
insertion
we
velocity...
hit SECO-2.
I don't remember what the exact orbital insertion velocity is in kilometers an hour. I want to guess 35, but that's probably not right. Okay. 34,954 at 309. Altitude is increasing very fast. Speed is decreasing moderately slow. That looked like a good transfer. We get second stage engine cutoff too. Right there.
Nominal orbit insertion.
Good geostationary
that
transfer
call-out, we
insertion. They're
Second engine cutoff, or
pacing the
SECO-2,
motor there.
and we're now just a few minutes away from payload deploy. Our customer for today's mission is KTSat. And KOREASAT-6A
Yeah, you
will
can tell
deliver
because of the
both
way it
fixed
is.
satellite service and broadcasting satellite service to South Korea. And with its Korea Augmentation Satellite System, or CAS-2 payload,
They're least flanking.
KTSat will be able to provide advanced satellite broadcasting, communication, and navigation services to
we
civil, government, and military customers in Korea.
Yeah, the venting that you see post ignition from these lines here are them safing the engine. What they do is they run helium through the motor, and what that does is that gets all the liquid oxygen and gaseous oxygen and out of the engine. The reason why you want to do that, liquid oxygen oxidizes things. You don't want to rust the engine from the inside out. You think salt is bad for metal? Liquid oxygen is really bad for metal, and what they do is they run helium through the engine to purge it out, basically clean it. So the next firing, which would probably be some type of disposal burn or nothing,
We had an awesome view right
you can
there
be sure
of
that the engine will be
payload,
okay. It
which
won't
is
introduce
the
a variable
CAS
like
payload,
rusting the engine from the
and
inside out.
that is a government project led by the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, and Transport.
This is only the 5th geostationary ComSat SpaceX has flown this year. How things have changed. Yep. Phil, one thing that's absolutely absurd to me is that even if SpaceX didn't have Starlink, they would still be launching more than everybody else. That's the crazy part to me. Got a beautiful shot of KOREASAT-6A right there. Solar panels and antennas are folded up right now. Those kind of dishes that you see on the side are antennas, and they're going to deploy out. We're not going to see that, though. That doesn't happen right after separation. They'll wait until you get a good distance away from that stage. The reason why is that you don't want stage 2. Stage 2 has RCS on them. You don't want the stage outgassing near the satellite because it could blow the solar panels around and it could blow the antennas around. Like a sailboat in space. That could happen. There's nothing stopping the gases from going all the way over to that satellite when it's in close proximity and weeble-wobbling your solar panels. Yes, that's a technical term. Oh, you see some
CAS is the
lightning
seventh
down on Earth
satellite
there.
system globally to be officially recognized by the International
Kelly.
Civil Aviation Organization, which is a United Nations agency that sets standards and regulations for aviation safety.
Flavia, last question, you swear, will this go to a graveyard orbit? The satellite eventually will go to a graveyard orbit when it's disposed of in like 15 years. The stage, once again, this is good GNC optimization. Your stage has a low enough perigee to be able to be in a decaying orbit. Okay? The stage perigee is about 168 kilometers. We know that from...
CAS is expected to improve the GPS position error distance in real time to ensure positioning reliability throughout the country. And we continue to have beautiful views of the second stage intermittently as it prepares to deploy KOREASAT-6A.
Yeah. So we know that you have 168 kilometer perigee from the parking orbit. It's probably 200 at best. Based off of point of burn. It's not a 168. Your perigee would be 250 kilometers, still very much decaying. So what that stage is going to do, it's basically going to stay in this elliptical style orbit with your apogee or highest point in your orbit at geo and your lowest point enough to where you can skirt the atmosphere. And that stage will be safe, and eventually it's going to keep skirting the atmosphere a little bit and skirting the atmosphere a little bit and skirting the atmosphere a little bit until Earth's gravity eventually will pull it back in. It's just good second stage disposal, guys. It's probably going to take a couple of months to do that with the second stage. But if you look, you see the trajectory right here. That point, the point of burn over there over Africa is very low to the ground. But you can see right here as it flies over the eastern parts of Africa and out over Madagascar that it is increasing in altitude. You can see some lightning over there. There's a thunderstorm. Bless the rains. So, oh, there's a little bit of ice coming off. Yeah, see? What the reason why we're able to see lightning from this is that it's hard to tell, but they turned the stage around. They're flying that way. They're looking back. This camera is looking back at where you came from. So it's looking back at Africa right now. There we go. The reason why you deploy the satellite backwards like that has to do a lot with orbital mechanics. Yeah, it just believe me on that one. It has to do with orbital mechanics. We got a good deploy there. Now, keep in mind, it could be backwards or it could be sideways. I didn't see. It could be either one of those. It might be forward because we don't see any Terminator line. It could be all, like, once again, it could be any one of those things. I think we might be sideways here, but it's hard to tell because we're not getting a lens flare. You get a lens flare if it was backwards. So I may have been wrong on that one. But that does look like a good deploy there.
Looks like 40. Thank you, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, a lot of lightning going on down there. Terminator, the sunrise. You'd be able to see, well, sunset. You'd be able to see the sunset if it was backwards. Sometimes they do it backwards, sometimes they don't. It really depends on where it's going. That one, actually, I think I'm wrong. That one was forwards. It may have been sideways, like a radial or normal relative to prograde, but I'd have to go back and look. But anyway, that was the KOREASAT-6A launch. Everything looks good. Booster 1067 did come back down and land on an RTLS. It's pretty good, man. Pretty good. Good stuff. It may have been sideways. You'd either deploy sideways. I mean, you can deploy forwards, but once again, it depends on where the satellite's going. Sometimes they do it backwards. Sometimes it's to the side. Sometimes it's forward. I wonder what sound Dan will make this time. Yeah, we got 1 week until Flight 6. Anyway. Cool. Anyway, anybody that's watching this VOD, that's going to do it for KOREASAT-6A. I hope you enjoyed the coverage here. I'm going to jog the VOD on the YouTube side of things. We're going to go over to Satisfactory. Once again, if you're watching this VOD, happy Veterans Day, everybody. From a civilian, thank you very much. You know, I don't forget about what the sacrifice that you made for us to keep everything on an even keel. We appreciate it a lot. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. So, with that being said, I'm going to jog the VOD, and we will switch over to Satisfactory. Let's get to it. Be right back. 1 second.